Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zoya Faruqi and I am in Medina Academy 2A. Today I am going to talk about how to clean the ocean by 2030. I believe that if we use the discarded plastic in a better way, it would not end up in the landfill, hence not in the ocean. Oceans form an indispensable part of our existence, but the careless human intervention has badly affected the oceanic ecosystem, threatening the existence of several species on Earth, including human beings. Dumping of garbage and other waste materials, which include industrial, agricultural, and urban waste into the oceans amount to 80% of the ocean pollution. Plastics form 65 to 90% of this garbage. There was an estimated 165 million tons of plastic in the oceans in 2017. The scale and the magnitude of ocean dumping are so vast that our entire civilization could be wiped out with the intensity of careless dumping. The increased presence of plastic on the ocean surface has resulted in many serious problems. Since most of the plastic debris that reaches the ocean remains floating for years, as it does not decompose quickly, it leads to the dropping of oxygen level in the water, severely affecting the survival of marine species. The presence of harmful wastes spoils the food chain and fails the reproductive system of fish and other aquatic beings. Also, the toxic substances get consumed by fish, which gets deposited and accumulated in their fat tissues. Then the humans consuming these affected fish can face unwanted complications. By 2050, our oceans would have more plastic than fish if we fail to stop the plastic to get accumulated in the ocean. We not only need to urgently focus on cleaning up the existing plastic trash from the ocean, we also need to ensure that we reduce the use of plastic in our daily life. Also, I believe that if we find a better use of plastic trash, we can stop it from ending up in the ocean. Using discarded plastic in a constructive way is challenging at many levels. For example, recycling a plastic bottle costs more than making a new one, but the longer-term benefits of being environmentally responsible weigh far more than the short-term economic difficulties. Many new experiments are done recently to figure out the efficient ways of using discarded plastic, like the one in Sweden.
Everyone produces garbage. Sweden is no different, but it's what they do with that waste that is a bit unusual.
Swedes produce a fair amount of waste, approximately 460 kilos per person and year, which amounts to 4.4 million tons every year. Less than 1% goes to landfill, and the rest is about 50-50 recycled and energy recovery.
With recycling and sorting of garbage a way of life, Sweden is able to convert much of its waste into energy. With its 32 incineration plants, Sweden is considered the world leader in the field of waste to energy, or energy recovery. In Helsingborg, in the south of Sweden, about 40% of households get their district heating from garbage incinerated at the brand new Filborna plant.
The waste that we use here comes from two main sources, the households and industrial waste. It is sorted, meaning that scrap metal, foodstuffs, glass, etc. has been sorted prior to incineration here. A good number to remember is that 3 tons of waste contains as much energy as 1 ton of fuel oil. So there's a lot of energy in waste.
Despite the millions of tons of garbage produced by the Swedes, the plants have an overcapacity. This has led to an interesting business for Sweden, the importing of waste from other European countries.
What we have here is imported English household waste. Each one of these weighs about 700 kilos, which corresponds to 250 kilos of fuel oil in energy terms. So there's a lot of energy here. In a European perspective, every year some 150 million tons are landfilled every year throughout Europe. So there are huge amounts of waste. In the long run, the world needs to produce less waste. The world has a garbage problem. In the meantime, waste incineration and extracting energy from the waste is a good solution.
And another one in India.
Roads are getting a little better in one northern Indian state, and it's not because of regular road material, but recycled plastic.
The Public Works Department of Himachal Pradesh in northern India has started constructing roads with plastic and polythene waste. It's an attempt to save the environment from the menace of plastic waste. The plastic will actually make roads stronger. This effort by the state government has been well appreciated by environmentalists in the area.
Plastic is dangerous to the environment, so we are making proper use of plastic waste and garbage. This will not only save the environment, but also save the government money, as it is very economical and saves expenses on charcoal.
Plastic is a menace, and we plan to use it more gainfully for construction of roads. This is at experimental stage yet. What we would do is to shred the plastic bags or plastic material with shredders, mix it up with the tarring material and lay it on the road. Tentatively, we have planned to use this kind of technology in the urban areas.
Kapoor added that the plastic roads will help improve the state's economy by making it more accessible.
And the one in US, making fabric using plastic bottles. This one is not just environmentally sustainable, but it also generates employment.
But first, in the UK we throw away billions of plastic bottles every year. We're getting much better at recycling them, but did you know that they can also be turned into clothing? This amazing process starts here at the Bottle Recycling Centre. The first stage is shredding. When you throw away your bottle, you often leave a small amount of drink inside. Shredding all the bottles releases the unwanted liquid so it doesn't affect the quality of the plastic. The shredded bottles are then wrapped in cellophane and boxed up ready to be shipped around the world. It may be rubbish to us, but to the Chinese textile industry, this plastic waste is a valuable commodity. Recycled bottles arrive from all over the world to feed the busy clothing industry. Sorting separates the clear plastic from the coloured stuff. Clear plastic can be made into white clothes or material that can be dyed, so it's extremely valuable. After all their swimming, what's left is a pile of clear plastic shreds. But it's rather wet. The next step is the ovens, where it's mixed with some light-coloured plastics. To produce white cloth, you need some light-shaded material in the mix. The plastic will spend about 10 hours here in these rotating drums, slowly drying out. So we've got our plastic bottles broken down and mixed to produce the right colours, but it's very hard to weave cloth from bits and pieces, so another step is needed. The mixture is sent through this rotating screw where it's heated to 270 degrees Celsius. This melts the plastic, but to make cloth we don't want a big lump, we need thread. The liquid plastic is forced through a sieve and emerges on the other side as great long strings, which are collected in a container below. We've now got thread, but it isn't strong enough to make cloth yet. First it must be combined and stretched several times while being heated. This will bond the fibres together. Now, it's taken ages to produce this material, but the next part of the process is to tear it apart again. The fluff that emerges is the raw substance you need to make polyester. However, that takes place in another factory altogether, so the workers here bale it up and send it on. It looks like cotton wool, but it's an entirely man-made substance created from your old bottles. This machine scrapes it all onto a very rough cloth, which is loaded here, ready to be carded. The sheet of polyester felt that emerges is now ready to be turned into thread. These machines will tease it out. They spin off mile after mile of pure polyester, which is collected on these bobbins. And finally, we reach the point where your old plastic bottles become cloth. Like a spider at the center of its web, the loom draws in thousands of threads and weaves a new sheet of polyester. So we've turned our recycled bottles into polyester at last. Now, the pieces will then be sent to workers who turn your trash into the trendiest gear you can find on the high street. So what started out as your rubbish was carefully sorted, then shredded, and turned into cloth. That cloth was shredded into fluff, spun into thread, and turned into fashion, from plastic bottles to polyester clothing.
Turning plastic waste into fabric would not only stop plastic ending up in the landfill, it has more benefits in terms of saving energy. When one plastic bottle is recycled, one can save enough energy to light 60-watt bulb for 6 hours. Recycling 1 ton of plastic bottles saves 1.5 tons of carbon. 10 plastic bottles can make 1 pound of polyester fiber. Since Americans used about 50 billion plastic water bottles every year, finding a better usage of discarded plastic bottles would go a long way in saving marine pollution.